Ben Domenech, Fox News contributor, editor-at-large for The Spectator. Ben, great to see you today. First of all, how do you sit in the White House and not answer questions about sketchy business dealings with any of your family members and China?
Well, I think that the Biden family has frankly gotten away with this for such a long time that they feel like they can get away with it again. And I think that they're wrong. You know, look, it's ludicrous to listen to someone like Jamie Raskin, saying that this is too broad of a net, when obviously they wanted to look under every different rock and pebble to try to find something to pin on Donald Trump during his tenure in the White House, and stretching back decades earlier in terms of his financial activity. In this case, we have a very clear, I think, a perspective from the James Comer and other Republicans who are on this committee who want to have a good perspective on what was being sold. Essentially, was Hunter Biden engaged in a type of influence peddling racket that would ultimately compromise, his father potentially, other members of his family, in pursuit of foreign dollars coming from America's adversaries? It's an absolutely legitimate question. It's an absolutely legitimate thing to ask for. And I think that when it comes to Comer's staff and others on the committee, they're going to pour over what they get in terms of a response from Bank of America, and we're going to find out, I think, more about the degree to which the Biden family has potentially been compromised by their relationships with a lot of untoward foreign partners overseas.
You raised that very legitimate and central question about whether or not our president is in a position of harm's way to capitulate to anybody that you might have made a business dealing with as a family member of his, i.e. China or Ukraine, anyone. President Biden taking a shot at Florida Governor Ron DeSantis over several bills that deal with transgender youth, most notably a bill to ban sex change treatments for minors. Governor DeSantis calling it an effort to protect young children from life-changing procedures. President Biden with this harsh take.
Transgender kids is a really harder thing. What's going on in Florida is, as my mother would say, close to sinful. It's not like, a kid wakes up one morning and says, I decided I want to become a man or I want to become a woman. It's cruel. And the way we do it is we make sure we pass legislation like we passed on same-sex marriage.
So is the president there, to your knowledge, Ben, or your opinion, justifying doing life-altering things to children, minors?
Well, he's not just doing that. He's saying it in the context of, once again, invoking his religious faith as being some kind of gift that allows him to determine the moral questions of our time in ways that I think are totally at odds with what the vast majority of Americans believe, the vast majority of parents believed until 30 seconds ago about what was appropriate. Look, there is a lot of science that we are just beginning to learn about in terms of the ramifications of this type of treatment for very young kids. There's a lot at risk here. There's a lot at stake. Potentially, making life-altering decisions that could, prevent these children from being able to grow up and to have families of their own. This is deeply important stuff. And to suggest that it's somehow evil, to push back and say, look, we need to, have these types of decisions made with adults in the room, as opposed to, just counting on kids to be able to determine, what their future is going to look like. And look, I think that you can raise issues with what the approach that Governor DeSantis has used, obviously, but I also think that it's deeply irresponsible and really awful to see this type of regime forced on America's kids by people who have a political agenda that they believe is more important than the lives of the children at question. I think that's something that is a huge problem. It needs to be addressed. Whether you're doing so politically or culturally, I think can be debated. But the idea that you could pass judgment on what they've done in Florida, from this high moral dudgeon perspective that President Biden invokes so often, is absolutely absurd.
Well, what you said is so true, to let the children decide. What if they change their minds when they get older and you have no recourse to help them change it back? I mean, it's heartbreaking. The unknown.
Absolutely.
The unknown. Ben, always a pleasure to have you in focus. Thank you.
Great to be with you.
I'm Steve Doocy.
I'm Brian Kilmeade.
And I'm Ainsley Earhart. And click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis.